All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Michigan Edition. Jeff here. Dan, how are you, man?
What's up, buddy? Good. Doing good.
Yeah, we had a pretty eventful weekend at your place this week on Saturday, drafting Monday Morning Tears Fantasy Football League, year 15. How do you feel about your draft overall?
I liked it. I didn't really miss out on any players that I wanted. I mean, I think Shane drafted. I think he reached Deontay Johnson a bit early. I was kind of targeting him. Zach picked Alan Lazard. I was kind of keeping my eye on him. And then something I feel like I got an upgrade at. I was all my mock drafts because I had the number one overall pick. Every one of my mock drafts I was taking because I'm at the turn. So I'm eyeing Justin Fields the whole time, either at my fourth or fifth or whatever you want to call it. And then he gets picked before that, and I got Josh Allen instead. I'm like, I feel like that is the tier above that, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, for those that don't know, you had the number one pick. You took Justin Jefferson, who's the consensus number one. So you got a great pick there. Yeah, I was overall pretty happy. I drafted 7th. I had my eyes on Travis Kelce going into this draft, hoping he would fall to me. The only player that I thought would fall to me that would keep me from taking Kelce was probably Tyreek Hill. He went prior. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't really want a running back there. I was pretty much committed to an RB0 strategy that I didn't perfect last year. I did make the playoffs. I just didn't perfect it. I do think I tweaked it a lot and really made some tweaks. I got a good quarterback, Jalen Hurts. I got Travis Kelce, and I got 3 what I think are really good wide receivers, at least 2 very good, and another third one that's solid. So RB0, 2.0, we'll see if it works. Obviously, I'm still trying to win this league and get some damn respect on my name, but time will tell. Those of you that are here for the Michigan pod, though, here we are. We're back. Saved Michigan for last. We hit the Big Ten West 2 weeks ago. We hit the Big Ten East minus Michigan last week. So you Ohio State fans, I think we went on them a little bit. Here we are. We're going to basically do the exact same thing we've been doing for all the other teams, except kind of long form for Michigan. We'll talk some season predictions. We'll talk a little bit of mailbag question from each other. You guys didn't exactly fill up the mailbag this week. Talk a little depth chart, and we'll head home. Are you ready?
Let's do it, baby.
Michigan last year, 9-0 in the Big Ten, winning the Big Ten. Finished the season 13-1 with what we've already talked about so many times in this pod, a self-inflicted loss to TCU. Just one of the worst games they had played all year, which is crazy because they scored, I think, 45 points in the game. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get the dub. And we go home. Take it away.
Yeah, so 40 points per game on offense, giving up 16 points on defense. Pretty good there, pretty healthy. Corman Edwards totaled combined 2,454 yards and 25 touchdowns. Michigan notched its first ever 13-win season in program history. Yeah, so definitely a heartbreaker against TCU, but dispatching Ohio State and Purdue feels good. I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess like the bitterness and all that kind of is obviously worn off by now, but still had a good season. Michigan loses some key role players, but gains well in the portal, and arguably brings pretty much everyone back besides like 3 or 4 guys. Jim Harbaugh, 3-game suspension. We don't have to get into it today if we don't want to, but obviously for the next 3 weeks, there's kind of a coaching shakeup because of the 3-game suspension and Sherrone Moore's 1-game suspension. But plethora of offensive linemen were coming in once again, and the first 4 games probably going to be kind of like tree outs. Last year the quarterback was kind of up in the air. I think this time around the offensive lineman is going to be kind of platoon swapped in there. I mean, it kind of was last year until I felt around and felt good about their unit. Give me 1 second here. For those who don't know, I'm actually doing a work draft right now, and that is because of my crazy ass work schedule. But let me do this pick real quick before we get into the. All right. So, anyways, you want me to get to the losses and ads?
Yeah. Yep. Ads and losses, and we'll kind of assess from there.
There is a ton of them. All right. So key losses: Iyabi Anoma / Iyabi Oki, last minute transfer in from UTSA last year. Also was originally committed to Alabama. Came to Michigan in late August, essentially because Biff Poggi was our associate head coach, and he leaves to go to Charlotte to follow Biff there, where he's going to be manning that program down there for the 49ers. Oki, was really coming on at the end of last year. Made a big play in the house of the game. Kind of sucks to see him go. Nakai Hill-Green is also going to Charlotte. He missed all last year due to a hamstring injury, which was kind of a mystery for quite a lot of time. Jim Harbaugh was tight-lipped about it. We knew it was a soft tissue-ish, and didn't hear much until really the end of the year. AJ Henning going to Northwestern. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Cade McNamara, Iowa. Eric All, Iowa. Angelo Anthony going to Oklahoma. RJ Moulton going to Florida. Mike Morris, 5th round to the Seahawks. Schoonmaker going 2nd round to the Cowboys, already making plays. Mozzie Smith, 1st rounder to the Cowboys. Olu, 5th rounder to the Seahawks, which I thought was ridiculous because of how decorated that guy is, and he wasn't even the first out of the 5, top 10, whatever centers picked. And then Ryan Hayes goes to the 7th round of the Dolphins. All right, now and Jake Moody goes to the 3rd round of the 49ers. Now, additions.
Lots of losses there. Holy hell.
So Drake Nugent, center from Stanford, he's expected to be in the starting role. You got offensive tackle Miles Hilton, also from Stanford. You got guard Ladarius Henderson from Arizona State. Linebacker Ernest Hausman from Nebraska. 54 tackles, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery as a freshman. Backup quarterback Jack Tuttle from Indiana. AJ Barner from Indiana as well. Not utilized a ton as a Hoosier, but Michigan likes to do a 1A, 1B scenario here. Cornerback Josh Wallace from UMass. 137 tackles, 24 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 picks in 4 years. And then linebacker Josiah Stewart from Coastal Carolina. He had 16.5 sacks over 2 years, and 13 of those were as a freshman. So you really hope that you get that freshman level again.
I have 2 mailbag questions that I think fit in this spot. Can I ask them quick?
Yeah.
Let's start with, because you started with losses, let's start there. A departed Wolverine that you're excited for this season. It could be either in the NFL or in college or one of each.
I guess I would probably say I'll give you a 1A, 1B. I kind of like Cade McNamara. It's hard to still not root for that dude. And then I think because he's still in college, so I'll give you college. I'll give you an NFL one. Kind of hoping that Schoonmaker pans out. It's been a long time since Michigan's had a tight end that has really lasted a long time in the NFL for productive years. So those are probably my 2.
Yeah, I'll give you a 1A and 1B too, both different. I'm very intrigued / excited to see what the ceiling is for Angelo Anthony at Oklahoma. Oklahoma over the last, for as long as I can remember, have been kind of a pass-happy air raid style team. I didn't follow them much last year. I know they struggled. I don't know if that's still their MO, but Angelo Anthony can stretch the field. He kind of has that ability. I kind of want to see if we failed on him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not that he departed last year, but kind of the same thing, Joe Milton. I was a huge fan. If you remember the early days of the Real Talk Michigan edition pods, we started this in 2020 when Joe Milton was the quarterback. So I've always kind of been his biggest fan. I'm interested to see if that kind of pans out at Tennessee. But as my 1B there, he's already had a great preseason. I haven't seen if he's officially made the roster. I hope he does. Ronnie Bell to the Niners.
Yes, I forgot to have him on my losses. That is my bad.
You're good. No, I just hope that works out. He's already been super productive. It is just the preseason. You never know what you're getting.
Right.
But I do think that he fits what they're trying to do there. He's a physical run blocker. Always has been. Always been great at that. He's a great possession receiver, and I think he can get loose deep down the field. So he's just so experienced and so veteran that I think he walks in and instantly contributes, even if he's not that big play speedy guy. I think he just fits with what the Niners are doing with his positionless football, just being such a great run blocker and third down guy. So next question, why we're talking about this. Player coming in you're most excited for? I think I know the answer.
I think it's going to be Josiah Stewart.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong.
Now, I know. Were you going to think I was going to say Hausman?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say Josiah Stewart because I know Hausman's a sophomore and it looks like Stewart's going to be a junior, but Stewart's obviously got a lot of production on paper so far, and it's a loaded linebacker room. A lot of edge rushers in there as well. So we'll see if he gets some PT here in these first few games, and I'm just interested to see what's he look like on his first snap. You know what I mean? So a lot of potential there, a lot of upside.
Yeah, not that I'm not a big Colston Loveland guy, because I certainly am, but I'm just very excited to see what AJ Barner brings and what he adds. I think having two physical tight ends has been what Michigan's had since 2021 with Schoonmaker and Eric All. Last year it was Schoonmaker and Colston. This year I'm hoping it's Colston and AJ Barner. I just hope that kind of continues the trend of what we've been able to do in this Michigan turnaround over the last couple of years. And I just think that AJ Barner adds to the tight end depth that we've already kind of established. I'm excited for him. I think we can move on to scheduling if you're ready there.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah. So do we want to come back to the first game or you just want to hit it right now?
We can come back to that first game. We can kind of get through these first September games, briefly, whatever. But yeah, we can do that more in depth later.
We'll close on it. on it.
Yeah.
All right. So Saturday, September 2nd, Michigan will play the Eastern Carolina Pirates. More on that in a minute. 12 p.m. on Peacock. And like I said, more on that in a second. Their second game, though, Saturday, September 9th, UNLV, the Rebels come to Michigan Stadium, 3:30 on CBS/Paramount. That is a unusual channel for Michigan. If I'm not mistaken, not including bowl games, because I can't think of those off the top of my head, I think this is the first time I'll ever see Michigan play on CBS. So kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Michigan, obviously, without Jim Harbaugh here. Who is the listed head coach for this game? Do you have it in front of you?
Jesse Minter.
I thought he's this weekend's game.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. You talking about UNLV?
UNLV.
I think this one is. I think it's the split.
It is the split. The first half is who?
Jay Harbaugh, and then second half is Mike Hart.
Mike Hart. That's right. So, yeah, I mean, listen, there's not a whole lot here. I think Michigan rolls even without their head coach at the helm. Way too talented. I don't know what the spread is. I'm sure it's over 30.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see any difficulties even without a head coach here, right?
Right.
Week 3, Saturday, September 16th, the Bowling Green Falcons travel to Ann Arbor. This one will be 7:30, first night game of the year on Big Ten Network. The head coach for this one, I believe, is Sharon Moore. Does that sound right?
I'm trying to look for it, and I cannot find it. He does have a game solely, under his control, and
it's got to be this one. It does have to be this one because Eastern Carolina this weekend is Jesse Minter. So, and Sharon Moore won't even be honestly on the sideline for that Eastern Carolina game, which we'll get back to in a minute. Week 4, September 23rd.
Hold on real quick. Bowling Green is Sharon Moore.
Yeah. Michigan obviously should win that game. We're not concerned of any of the first 3. And now we'll start talking serious football here. Saturday, September 23rd, Rutgers Scarlet Knights travel to Ann Arbor. It'll be a 12 noon game. Channel not yet determined. But Yeah, I mean, we're not very high on them. Any opinions on this game? Jim Harbaugh back, homecoming in Ann Arbor, opinions?
Normally, I would think a Rutgers team would give Michigan a bit of a run. They have the last 2 years at least. I just think this year is going to be a little bit different. It's just going to be firing all cylinders and ready to show out um, for the home opener in terms of the conference play. I don't think Rutgers has a chance. Now, do I think that Rutgers could still possibly make this game? Sure, but I just don't think it happens this time around.
Yeah, I agree. September 30th, this is the first road game of the year. Harbaugh's back after, he's had the one game under his belt now. It's the second annual Buffin Bowl. Michigan travels to Nebraska to play the Cornhuskers. Time's not yet determined. A lot of rumors this is a night game. I'm intrigued at what time this game's played. We already talked about this. If Nebraska comes out and they somehow can get hot, this could be an interesting road test for Michigan. Regardless, I do think Matt Rhule will have this team playing harder than they've played in the last couple of years. Opinions on this one?
Yeah, like I said last week, if this team is 4-0, maybe 3-1, I think the atmosphere in their stadium is going to be, I think, on par with how 2021 was. A lot of optimism, a lot of excitement. But if they come out of the gate 2-2, I just don't think the intensity will be as high, and I think Michigan can go into Lincoln and win.
Yeah. As of now, I have Michigan winning. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Saturday, October 7th, at the Minnesota Golden Gophers Huntington Bank Stadium. Time yet to be determined. Little Brown Jug on the line. I don't have the last meeting in front of me. Do you happen to know it by chance? 2020?
I want to say it was 2020 because they
first game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. So I'm pretty sure last time we were there was that game. Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting one. I think there's a lot to play for here for Minnesota. Obviously, the Brown Jug is it's a big time trophy for us. Michigan back-to-back road spots here. Opinions on this one?
Yeah, I just think that the Gophers have lost too much talent from 2022 to compete, and I think Michigan gets the dub here as well on the road. Won't be easy.
No, totally agree. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 6-0 heading into this next one. October 14th, back at home after a 2-week road spot. Indiana Hoosiers come to town. Again, time yet to be determined on these last 3 games, channel to be determined. Yeah, Michigan coming back home here. I expect it to be 6-0, really hitting on all cylinders. I expect them to take care of Indiana, though Indiana has given us a couple of hard-fought games recently. How you feel on this one?
Again, just this Indiana team isn't the same 2020 Indiana team, and again, won't be surprised if they give if they give Michigan a tough out. But I just don't see it here. Tom Allen is a intense, loud coach, but he gets his boys to play. But I just think it's just going to be too much, and Michigan's going to win this one also.
October 21st, Michigan travels to Michigan State, East Lansing. We reported this last week. We still don't know if this is official. This is coming from FBS schedules. This game shows to be 7:30 NBC on Peacock. It's a night game. Obviously, we know everything that happened in the tunnel last year. This is going to be a bloodbath. Give me your opinions on Michigan State, Paul Bunyan on the line.
Yeah, I feel like what I'm about to say is what you could say any other year, whatever, no matter what time period, just like a politician when they're campaigning, they say this is the campaign, this is the term of our lives, blah, blah, blah. I think this is going to be one of the most crucial moments in this rivalry's history, especially in their near future. There's so much on this game this year. Is Mel Tucker worth the money? Is he going to get back to his first 2 years against Michigan? Is he going to, show more promise for the Spartans? They are behind Michigan even in NIL. So Michigan State, their best recruiting tool is putting a winning product on the field. And then you have the whole situation that happened last year. This game, possibly could be under the lights. I just think this is just so much hatred. And I really feel like Michigan, they just have to step on the Spartan necks this time around. They can't show no mercy and do with all in the confines of being respectful and not get away with something stupid. But this is going to be a game that is going to be have me on the edge of my seat. Michigan State is 5-2 over the last 7 games here in East Lansing, so Michigan desperately needs to keep back-to-back years and continue a streak of wins against these guys.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Michigan State, the 2 weeks prior, they're at Iowa, at Rutgers, and then home against us. So on their actual physical website, their official website of Michigan State, there is not a time on this game. I just think that the heavy speculation, I think FBS is going ahead and put their reputation on the line. They think it's going to be on 7:30 on Peacock. So Halloween weekend, October 28th, Michigan's going to be off. I think this is first time in a while it's Halloween weekend as their bye. I can distinctly remember the last couple of Halloweens, kind of scheduling trick-or-treating around the Michigan game. It just seems like that's been when they've been playing. But it looks like here, and I thought this one was kind of up in the air, but maybe not. November 4th, Saturday, Michigan comes back home after a road game at Michigan State, and then the bye home game against Purdue. Purdue comes to town. This one shows to be 7:30 on NBC Peacock. Time will tell on that one. I do think that you'll see more and more games at Michigan Stadium under the lights trying to finish this TV deal. Where does Peacock want games? With what team? At what place? At what time? Where does CBS want games? Where does Big Noon Kickoff on Fox want games? There's going to be some fighting for TV time. And I think that you'll see, unfortunately, there's going to be more and more games at Michigan Stadium that are just going to be under the lights, even if they don't quote unquote matter, like the Bowling Green game, Michigan back home here. Any upsets, or you think Michigan takes care of business?
Boilermakers are no match, at least this year. Ryan Walters, I don't know much about that guy really, but from what I've seen him control the defense at Illinois, I think that there's potential here, but not this year.
Yeah, it is a Big Ten championship rematch from last year, but I just don't think that this is much like last year. This is just not a team to compete with Michigan. Saturday, November 11th, at State College, Beaver Stadium, Michigan travels to Penn State. As of right now, this is a 2-7 matchup. There is a strong chance that it even increases. So, massive game. It is slated for Big Noon Kickoff. Penn State's going to be the striped white and blue. A few guys I know are going to be there. Opinions on this one?
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. If we talked last week, and with the West Division's got a lot of coaching changes and a lot of new faces behind center, and Penn State is actually going to be one of them here in the East with Drew Aller. So, former 5-star quarterback, is Drew Aller going to be legit? If he's legit, this game is going to be intense. I know I use that word to describe the last game we talked about, but if he's going to be, it's going to be worth a damn. If he's going to go out there and ball out, man, this game is going to be all the way down to the end. But I think Michigan can pull this out. Part of that is, that noon kickoff not being a whiteout under the lights, that does play a factor into it. And last time Michigan came in here, they came out with a final drive with Cade McNamara and Eric Hall. So very doable, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just think that this is big time. I think game day is going to be here for this. I think this is Michigan's first really big test of the entire season. At this point, depending on how Nebraska and Minnesota kind of shape up and what that Michigan State game looks like, if they handle all three of those teams, man, this team might just be the same again. Where they're just built different. This isn't the same old Michigan team that we've seen in the mid 2000s. This team is clicking on all cylinders post 2020, and road games don't seem to matter anymore. It seems like once we play a team in the Big Ten, we're just kind of having their number. Last year was a pretty embarrassing loss for them too. So obviously, they're going to want to come in here and really double down and get back at Michigan. I just don't think it's going to be enough. This is a very good Michigan team. I think we match up well. We'll be able to run the football. I like Michigan on the road at State College. Next game, Saturday, November 18th at Maryland, Seacoast Stadium at College Park. This one doesn't have a time to be announced right now, but another road game. It seems like this is the most road games we've seen in a long time. I don't know why it seems like that, but 5 road games here. I don't know if that's typical or not, but opinions on this game.
It's to me, it comes down to quarterback play again, just like the Penn State game. But in this situation, is Tago is he going to be healthy? And if he's healthy and they have, a good record at that point, something that's respectable, then you're going to hear a lot of people on ESPN and around the country calling this a trap game for U of M because it's right before the game. So, I mean, the last time Michigan came here, whatever, they put up 50-plus points. So we'll see what happens, obviously. But I think Michigan can take this.
Yeah, this is a Michigan has the bye Halloween weekend, but then you get Purdue at home, very tough road game at Penn State, and then their quote-unquote look-ahead game to Ohio State is at Maryland with one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the entire Big Ten. I think it is a trap game. I mean, this is something that Michigan's really got to look ahead at. I mean, truthfully, they need to be where their feet's at, and this game specifically, take Maryland very seriously because I don't think they took Illinois very serious. Obviously, there were some injuries in that game, but that game was almost costly. If you want to try and get to Lucas Oil unmatched, you got to take Maryland serious, and especially after that Penn State game, whether it's a win or a loss, and it's your Big Ten championship would still be alive. So Maryland, this is a big game, believe it or not. I still think Michigan takes care of business. This team is kind of just a different breed and moves along.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, November 25th, the Ohio State Buckeyes travel back to Ann Arbor, Michigan, back to the Big House for the first time since 2021, where we finally broke the streak, gave them the upset. But now we've got 2 in a row, looking for 3 in a row. I'd have to imagine that Ohio State is either unmatched or unscathed, or maybe has 1 loss heading into this game. Very on the table for them to be undefeated once again. Opinions on this one? Obviously, we'll have a much more in-depth breakdown in a few months, but
I think what Ohio State record is, this is going to be probably the most rowdiest, like one of the most rowdy Michigan crowds of all time. I think this is going to be packed house, waiting forever to get into tailgate. This is going to be like the Beatles times, a million. I think there's going to be just probably the best atmosphere you can ever ask for if the stars align correctly for U of M, and it's going to be a doable game. Obviously, Ohio State's breaking in a new quarterback, whoever that remains to be. I don't think they even named a starter yet, and the opening weekend is this weekend. Their game is Saturday, so we'll see. But I mean, a couple years ago, it wasn't this confident. This year, I'm looking for three in a row. Being at home too is even better. And like I said, if Michigan, I know that first Michigan touchdown, that place you're not going to be able to hear yourself think. I can't wait to see it.
I have a question that I think fits right here. What game is more frightening to you? At Penn State, home against Ohio State. Don't say both.
I'm kind of like 50-50 to be honest right now.
No, you got to give me one.
Because the Penn State game is at noon, and I don't want to weigh too much on that, but I think I'm more what I'm afraid of is probably Ohio State. Now it's not like I'm confident, but the reason why I say Ohio State is because I'll be in shambles if we lose.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, I guess at the end of the day, losing to Penn State is not a go. It would suck. It would suck, but it would not be a season killer.
Better lose early than late.
You lose to Ohio State, that's it.
That's look at 2021. You lose a game that you should have blew Michigan State out in 2021. You recover, and you still beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten championship. So you have that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm okay with losing to Penn State because, I think Michigan can and should beat everybody.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you lose to Ohio State there. That might be it. Take a look at this depth chart. I want to make some season predictions. Are you ready to do that? I'm just going to kind of bust out some questions. You kind of tell me who you think fits that mold.
Okay.
Okay. Leads the team in rushing yards.
Blake Corum.
I agree. Leads the team in rushing touchdowns.
Blake Corum.
I agree. What if you had to guess? What are the rushing totals? 70-30, 60-40, 50-50?
Oof. This offense, is it real to me, man? Is it very intriguing? Is it going to be the same as last year, or are we actually going to buy the hype and understand that they are going to try to be more balanced? I don't know. I think it's going to be 60-40, to be honest. Maybe 55-45.
Yeah. I think 60-40 is probably fair. And I can't see it being more than 65-35. I just think that Harbaugh doesn't want to deplete Donovan Edwards' draft stock.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Blake Corum has proven when he's out there, he's just so reliable. Reception leader on the team this year.
I'm going to go with Roman Wilson.
I think it could be Donovan Edwards.
I was kind of tickling that idea last year.
I know, and it didn't. Obviously, that never panned out. They never even used him in that role. But I feel like he could be the out-of-the-backfield guy that could just get 50 catches this year and lead the team in that sense. If it's a wide receiver, I do think it's Roman Wilson. Total receiving yards leader. I think this is Roman Wilson.
That I'll go with Cornelius Johnson, only because Cornelius Johnson seems to be the one that stretches the field.
Yeah.
And that seems like maybe I could be completely wrong, but I feel like that's really what his forte is. And Roman Wilson is everything.
Yeah.
And because of the air yardage and the deep threat, you're going to pick up all those, be it Lee Evans from the Buffalo Bills from years ago. So I'll go with yardage with CJ.
Receiving touchdown leader.
Receiving touchdown leader? Oh, boy. I think that could be Roman Wilson as well.
I'm going Colston Loveland. I think he's in for a massive red zone target season. I think he leads the way. Offensive player that we're just not talking about, but probably will be talking about.
I would probably, man, I don't want to say wide receiver. I don't want to say tight end. I would probably say, that's a good one.
I wonder, his name got brought up a little bit. It's faded off. I wonder how much Peyton O'Leary really gets going in this offense, and if he just eats catches, if he's just eating up receptions.
Yeah, I mean, because Peyton O'Leary was like the spring game hype and then kind of faded out.
Yeah.
The freshman running back that had a big spring game, his name's escaping me.
Benjamin Hall.
Benjamin Hall, that's who I would probably pick.
Okay. Defensive side of the ball. Let's go with leading tackler. This feels like a gimme. It's got to be Junior Colson,
right? Yeah. I mean, I think he led the team last year, and if he wasn't, he was number 2, and Barrett was number 1. It's going to be one of those 2 guys.
You don't think it could be Ernest?
Wouldn't be surprised, but I'll go with the seasoned Michigan vet.
Yeah. Who's the sack leader in your opinion this year? I think there's a lot of guys that are going to test the waters here, but who gets the most sacks on the team?
I'll go with Jalen Harrell.
Yeah, he feels like the guy. I'm going to go Brandon McGregor. I think this could be his year. I think this could be a standout year for him. Obviously, Josiah Stewart could be that guy too, coming over from Coastal Carolina. Who leads this team in interceptions? A lot of guys here that could potentially be that fold.
I'll go Rod Moore.
Rod Moore. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Will Johnson because I don't think people are going to be throwing at him. Mm-hmm. I think it could be Josh Wallace, an experienced transfer coming over, senior. There's going to be guys that are going to try and throw at him because they think that potentially, he's a small school guy, maybe gets the ball hawk in him, gets a couple of picks. More likely to win the Heisman this year.
J.J. McCarthy.
I actually tend to agree.
I would say Blake Corum, but I think that Donovan Edwards, you can't not utilize him. And what I think would make sense, and again, you can't account and plan for injuries, but I think utilization of both Corum and Donovan Edwards on the field at the same time would be absolutely lethal. And because both of them are going to be eating into each other's touches, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be the one that's obviously going to remain. He's going to stay consistent. So I'll have to go quarterback. If Donovan Edwards wasn't there, so to speak, this year, then I'd probably say Corum because then Corum you figured be the lead bell cow. But I'll go JJ.
Yeah. This was my most important mailbag question. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
If Michigan goes 14-1, but they make it all the way to the Natty and lose, how would you view this season? It can be close. It can be a blowout. I don't really care. However you want to spin it. But they go 14-1. They win a playoff game even, but they come up short in the Natty.
To me, it would feel really close to how last year felt. It just feels really close to how last year, because this year is, to me, it's Natty or bust. And I'm not trying to just say, oh, it'll be a failed season, but this is again, we've talked about before. This is a prime year. This is the window of opportunity that will not exist after this year. So if they don't capitalize and then they don't win it, it's gonna be very disappointing. But again, assuming you beat Ohio State, assuming you win the Big Ten championship, that that makes it feel a little bit easier to swallow, that pill to swallow. So I think it'd feel very similar to 2022.
Yeah, I think when we look back at this Michigan team someday, however this season finishes off, I think we're going to look back at the roster.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see NFL guys. We're going to see maybe they didn't pan out in the NFL, but just like college studs.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to look at the coaching staff, and it's going to feel like Alabama in a sense. Like, oh, this guy is coaching over there, and this guy is coaching over here, and this guy's a successful coach here, and you got Harbaugh, you know? And I think it'll be an opportunity that we look at. And if we win it, obviously we'll know why. And if we don't, we'll be like, how? How did you lose? I think we'll kind of look at it like the 2013 Michigan Wolverine basketball team. You got 6 or 7, I lose track, NBA guys. And it was our best window of opportunity. It's like, yeah, one just kind of slipped away.
I gotta be honest. I was thinking that while I was trying to describe my thoughts. That season,
2013 run.
That crushed me. That crushed
Yeah,
me.
it still crushes me thinking about it because it was there and it should have been there. And obviously, a loss would feel very similar to that. That's all I have for questions for you. Do you have anything for me?
Yeah. So, question I thought of was Jesse Minter, Sharon Moore. This is kind of a 2-part question. Both those guys, right? Who do you think leaves to go get another job first? And who do you think out of those two gets another job but is a head coach first? So who do you think leaves first for another job? Who do you think becomes a head coach first?
When I've thought this, when Jesse Mentor leaves, I believe it will be for an NFL defensive coordinator job. When Sharon Moore leaves, I believe it will be for a head coach of a smaller school in college.
Yeah.
I don't think Jesse Mentor has any intentions of being a head coach in college. That doesn't feel like him. Maybe I'm wrong. It's very hard to succeed in college as a young coach. And Jesse Mentor's pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon Moore, from what I've heard on some podcasts and stuff, he seems like he's one of the boys, but at the same time he is business. He's all business. Mm-hmm. And he feels like he would. You always have to assume. I think it's the safest thing to assume that when a guy leaves a program and goes somewhere else, they're going to establish, at least at the minimum, what they're good at. Mm. And if he can go anywhere and establish an offensive line, he has a chance to compete at some sort of level. So I do think that he'll be a very good head coach. Time will tell. But I do think, not to take away from any of these guys, because I think they've all been great. Mm-hmm. I think that Harbaugh is clicking on all cylinders right now. I think he finally has gotten this program where it needs to be. And a lot of it has to do with the assistants he's brought in. But notice, there's been 2 different defensive coordinators, and they both worked. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they, the saying is they ran the same scheme, but they both worked, And there's been a ton of turnover on that defense, and it's worked throughout. The offense, there's been 3 different offensive coordinators in the last 2 years, because there was Cole last year, and then obviously 2021 was his name's escaping me, but you know who I'm talking about. And that there was no loss there once he left. So I'm not saying these guys aren't important, because I believe they all are, but it just seems like Harbaugh right now has got the roster tweaked perfectly, that whoever you bring in, it's still working, and more recruits to come, obviously. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I guess the last question is, obviously we're going to go through the Eastern, the East Carolina preview here in just a second, but I guess my last question I'll ask is, how do you think we're going to end up viewing this team?
At the end of the year?
Season's all over. How do we view this team?
My hope is is one that is going to be the best in Michigan history.
Yeah, I truthfully believe it'll be viewed, win the Natty or not. I think this is going to be the best team of my life. I think that's how it's going to look back on it. It's like, this was the best Michigan team of my life. And hopefully they're able to turn that into a national championship. Let's take a look at Eastern Carolina real quick before we get out of here. At the 45-minute mark, we've been hitting these hour pods pretty easily lately. Eastern Carolina last year, 8-5, 4-4 in the American. They ended the year with two wins in a row. They didn't play a whole lot of teams that you've probably heard of, but here are some of their notable wins/losses. They did beat Memphis. They did beat UCF, and they did beat BYU. They lost to Cincinnati, and they lost to Houston, and they beat Temple. They won their bowl game too, beating Coastal Carolina. So, I mean, not a completely wash. I mean, this is a solid program, 8-5 on the year last year, and they're looking to improve on that. They come to town. Michigan will be without Jim Harbaugh. People have kind of laughed at this schedule that Michigan has out of conference, but I think, an 8-5 team coming to your house isn't exactly a joke in my opinion, but I'm not here to defend Michigan's out of conference. Opinions on this game? Where do you, I'll let you just take it over.
Well, real quick before I get to the East Carolina Pirates game coming up, outside of any program in the country that goes out of their way to schedule a home and home series with another premier program, who doesn't have a cake schedule? Let's be honest. Look at it. Georgia, cake schedule. Ohio State, I know they got to play Notre Dame. So that's not like a good example, but Alabama, cake schedule. So it's like, unless you go out of your way to book a home and home with Texas like next year or Notre Dame in September, I mean, every other program is riding the cupcakes.
Well, so we'll even include Ohio State here because everybody likes to say, like, oh, we're not playing a cake. So real quick, what defines a cake schedule versus a non-cake schedule is one game. Is that really where we're at? Because
Right.
Playing Notre Dame, while that would definitely be a better opponent than anything that Michigan's going to play, Youngstown State in Western Kentucky aren't exactly juggernauts.
Mm.
I always find that very comical. As far as Penn State, I think they're out of conference. They're playing West Virginia. Okay, that's decent. Delaware, absolutely trash. UMass, absolutely trash.
Mm.
So even if you're playing like a quote-unquote good out-of-conference schedule,
Right.
because you play one game? I've always kind of found it comical. I don't have a ton more to add on that. It's just like,
right.
If that's really what you're defining as non-cupcake versus cupcake, like whatever. It's not that important to me.
No, I just thought I'd bring that up real quick. But to get into the Pirates here, they did win their bowl game last year. They did have 8-5 as a record. Right now, we're looking at a 35.5 or 36-point game right now as a spread.
That is a lot.
And a lot that has to do with because they have a lot of guys gone. Quarterback Holden Ahlers, he graduated last year after throwing 14,000 yards and 97 touchdowns in 4 years. Running back Keaton Mitchell, who went undrafted to the Baltimore Ravens, he racked up 14 touchdowns and 1,500 yards last season. The Pirates defense took a hit in personnel. They do have a safety, Julius Wood, who's been there for a few years, and then they have a handful of pass rushers that are decent. So, I mean, it's East Carolina. Again, you're expected to win this game, but figured I'd bring that up because, again, I'm a huge proponent of you lose quarterback, running back in the same year, and you're not Alabama, you're not Georgia, where you're just expected to reload. I mean, you're going to have growing pains.
Yeah.
And look at Pat Fitzgerald, formerly of the Northwestern Wildcats. Obviously, Northwestern isn't a premier program, but it takes 3 years, every 3 years, 4 years, for him to be competing for the West Division title because everything that comes with Northwestern, the recruiting, the academics, all that, So it takes time to build that up. That's kind of where East Carolina is at. And that's really all I have for them in particular. I think that this game is probably going to be pushing the spread. I think Michigan probably has one of these games where they roll out just a ridiculous amount of guys to get playing time, especially in that second half. They were up by like 4 or 5 touchdowns. You're probably going to see one quarterback every other drive getting experience. You probably see Alex Orji in there. Excuse me. Davis Warren will get playing time. Jack Tuttle will get playing time. And when I say playing time, they'll probably each get one drive or something like that. But they'll get up early and see how it goes. But this game, Jim Harbaugh's not there. Sherrone Moore's not there. Jesse Minter is going to be the head coach per se, but Kirk Campbell, the quarterback coach that came in the offseason, who's been getting nothing but praise, especially with next year's class, 2025's class. Bryce Underwood, the 5-star quarterback, he's getting a really good relationship with Kirk Campbell. He's calling the plays this week, so we'll see what he's made of.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of JJ in this first couple of weeks to really get himself smoothed out. There's no reason to pound the ball 40 times in these games. That'll be all second half. In the first half, air it out, show a little creativity, get this team firing and get them some chemistry. Don't wait till you're down 10 points against Ohio State in the first quarter to have JJ start slinging it, Hopefully that's early and often to start the year, and Michigan kind of covers the spread this weekend.
That was the most irritating thing about last year was the narrative of, oh, Michigan's playing tight to the chest. They're not trying to reveal too much of their playbook in September and early October. It's like, who cares, dude? Roll it out, and obviously showed down the stretch last season that the passing game suffered at times because you just didn't have one, wide receiver separation, but two, a lot of people, a lot of the times they weren't on the same page. So you got to get the juices flowing here.
Yeah. Last year they outscored their opponents 166-17 in the first 3 games. I'm hoping it looks a little bit like that to start this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to play a cupcake, you got to treat them like a cupcake. That's my opinion on it. So.
Yep.
But this team is what'd you say they averaged 40 last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they put it down a lot. So hopefully that continues and Michigan really gets going. Talk a little bit about your experience this weekend, how you're feeling. I know you're really excited about it.
Yeah, so taking the kids and the wife, well, the kids' first game ever, but my wife and I have been there a million times. So we are just going as a family. I'm not bringing any of my hooligan friends. Just going to show up to the golf course, pop a tailgate, just kind of show them, the reason why I like Michigan football so much, and probably going to take them in the stadium, walk around, show them everything like that. Probably watch the first half, walk the second half around, go down den, drop some money I don't have, and just have a good time. I can't wait because I get to see a lot of people I only get to see at the tailgates, like my buddy Kenny who lives out of town, away from here. So yeah, I'm really excited, man. It's probably I want to be there, and I want to see the flyover. I want to see the pregame. I want to see my daughter does cheerleading. I want to be there so she can watch the cheerleaders. I want to be there. I purposely bought tickets on the Michigan sideline so that way we can watch them come out of the tunnel. So it's going to be a Field of Dreams moment, and I probably won't take my sunglasses off because I'll probably have a little wet behind the eyes, but it's gonna be fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I don't have anything else. Michigan's a Saturday, dude. It's kind of wild. We're here. We literally made it. I can't wait to talk about all the things we learned next week. This is why we pod, really, to discuss, to predict, and then all of a sudden a game happens and we react. So excited for that. Have you recorded your pod this week or no?
No, I'm probably going to be doing that tonight when we get off here because this week is just ridiculous. I got family photos tomorrow. Wednesday, I have My daughter has cheerleading, and then the other Thursday we have the Mud Hens game. Friday is Becker High School's home opener, and my daughter, her cheerleading junior team is going to be out there in the field before that kickoff. So Saturday, it's just this week is going to be mind-boggling, but we're going to do it and we're going to have
fun. What are you guys going over? What are you going over?
So I'll be breaking down the East Carolina game as well. We'll be talking some of the stuff that, the coaching situation of this week and in the near future. Talk a little bit of recruiting, and then we'll also be hitting up some of the press conference for this game week coming up. Jim Harbaugh spoke, and we'll also be talking some Big Ten hockey because Michigan's schedule basically just got dropped today. They announced their non-conference a couple weeks ago. Now they got the Big Ten games in there, and so now I got to figure out which games I'm going to go to this year. So we'll going through that schedule, and we'll also be talking about some of the games this Saturday and Sunday that aren't Michigan related that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Well, there you have it. If you're interested, please pop over, give them a listen. One more time where they can find you. They haven't heard yet.
Southeast Michigan Podcast.
All right. Until next time, I think we're out. Go Blue. Real talk.
Go Blue, baby.